Friends, today we are going to talk about a coin that may look simple and ordinary at first glance, but behind its small copper surface lies a fascinating piece of American history, a story connected to the end of a global conflict and the beginning of a new era in the United States. The coin we are exploring today is the 1946 wheat penny, a coin that quietly carries the spirit of post-war America. When you first look at this penny, it might appear like any other 1-cent coin, but the year 1946 represents a powerful moment in history. It was the first full year after the end of World War II, a time when the United States was transitioning from wartime production back to peace, rebuilding its economy, and stepping into its role as a global power. Millions of these pennies were struck during that time, circulating through the hands of soldiers returning home, workers rebuilding industries, and families beginning a new chapter of prosperity. On the front of the coin, known as the obverse, you will see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, one of the most respected leaders in American history. Lincoln's image had already appeared on the cent for decades by 1946, symbolizing unity, freedom, and perseverance. The design itself was created by the talented sculptor Victor David Brenner, whose work first appeared on the Lincoln cent in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Brenner's design was groundbreaking at the time because it was the first circulating American coin to feature the portrait of a real historical figure rather than a symbolic representation. When collectors look at the reverse side of the 1946 penny, they immediately recognize the famous wheat design that gives this coin its nickname, the wheat penny. Two wheat stalks stretch along the left and right edges of the coin, framing the center text that reads 1 cent and United States of America, while the national motto E pluribus unum sits proudly above them. The wheat ears represent prosperity, growth, and the agricultural strength that helped build the nation. This reverse design was used from 1909 until 1958, making the wheat penny one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. The year 1946 stands out within that timeline because it marks a turning point for the country. After years of war, the American economy was shifting gears. Factories that once produced tanks, aircraft, and ammunition were now producing cars, appliances, and consumer goods for a booming population. The coins minted in 1946 moved through a nation that was experiencing the early stages of economic expansion, suburban growth, and technological innovation. The 1946 wheat penny was produced at 3 different United States mint facilities. The main mint in Philadelphia produced pennies without any mint mark, which means if your 1946 penny has no letter below the date, it likely came from Philadelphia. Coins struck in Denver carry a small D mint mark, while those produced in San Francisco feature an S. For collectors, this tiny letter can make a big difference, because different mint locations produce different numbers of coins, and some are harder to find in high-grade condition than others. Another interesting detail about the 1946 penny is its composition. The coin was made primarily of copper, about 95% copper with a small percentage of tin and zinc mixed in. This composition gave the coin its warm reddish-brown color. During the war years earlier in the decade, copper had been needed for military equipment, which led to experimental coin materials such as the famous 1943 steel penny. But by 1946, the mint had returned to the traditional copper alloy for the cent, marking a return to normal production practices. Many people today wonder whether a 1946 wheat penny can be valuable. In most circulated conditions, the coin is still relatively common and may only be worth a few cents or a couple of dollars depending on its condition. However, the real excitement begins when collectors discover a coin in exceptional condition or one with a rare minting error. Errors are accidental variations that occur during the minting process, and these mistakes often turn an ordinary coin into a prized collectible. For example, collectors search for coins with double die errors, off-center strikes, or unusual planchet flaws. These types of errors are rare because the mint maintains strict quality control, but when they do appear, they can dramatically increase a coin's value. In auctions and collector markets, high-grade 1946 wheat pennies with exceptional preservation or unique errors can sell for significantly higher prices than their face value, sometimes reaching into the hundreds of dollars. What makes the 1946 wheat penny truly fascinating is not only its potential value but also the historical story it carries. Every coin that circulated during that time passed through the hands of people living in a transformative period of American history. Imagine a factory worker receiving this penny as change after a long shift, or a child saving it in a small jar as the country entered a new era of peace and opportunity. Coins like this serve as small time capsules, preserving a moment in history that might otherwise be forgotten. The design elements themselves also tell a story. The wheat stalks symbolize growth and nourishment, reflecting the importance of agriculture in sustaining the nation. The strong portrait of Lincoln represents unity and resilience, values that resonated deeply with Americans who had just endured the hardships of a global war. Even the motto, E pluribus unum, carries a powerful meaning, reminding us that the United States is a union formed from many different states and people coming together as one nation. For coin collectors, the wheat penny series remains one of the most beloved areas of American numismatics. Many collectors begin their journey by searching through jars of old coins, hoping to discover a wheat penny hidden among modern cents. The thrill of finding one, especially a coin from the 1940s, connects collectors to a distant time. Holding a 1946 wheat penny in your hand is like holding a small piece of history, a reminder that even everyday objects can carry remarkable stories. Because these coins were produced in such large numbers, many of them still exist today, but finding one in pristine condition is much more difficult. Over the decades, most of these pennies circulated heavily, collecting scratches, fading, and wear that gradually erased their original luster. That is why collectors place a premium on coins that still display sharp details and the bright red color of freshly minted copper. In the world of coin collecting, condition plays a huge role in determining value. A well-preserved coin with minimal wear can be worth many times more than a heavily circulated example. This is why experts often recommend carefully examining any old coin before spending it. You might unknowingly have a small treasure hiding in your pocket change. The 1946 wheat penny is a perfect reminder that history can live inside the smallest objects. What looks like a simple copper coin may actually represent a turning point in a nation's story, a symbol of resilience, recovery, and hope for the future. For collectors and history enthusiasts alike, coins like this offer a unique window into the past. So if you ever come across a 1946 wheat penny, take a moment to look closely at it. Check the date, search for the mint mark, and observe the details of the design. Because what you are holding is more than just a 1-cent coin, it is a surviving artifact from a time when the world was rebuilding and a new chapter of American history was just beginning.